Welcome everyone to Grape Finance's almost weekly AMA. Has been a little while before we're here again, but we're here again. And of course, as always, we're here with LB. Welcome, LB.
Hey everyone, good to be here. Good to see you all, or hear you all, I guess.
Yeah, when they start talking, or we give them
uh,
the mic. All right, as always, we're going to read from the AMA weekly questions chat, and then afterwards, I'm going to skip to the AMA live chat to see if anyone has any live questions. And if anyone wants the mic, then tell me your question and your Zoom name so I can give you the mic. All right, let's start off, and we're going to start off with Taz, who's asking, any plans in the future to release more NFTs with associated utility? And he also posted a suggestion earlier this week, but that would allow people to customize their experience on Grape Finance. And that's just an idea. Anyway, any plans in the future to release more NFTs with associated utility, I think is the main question.
yeah, I'm thinking like I always want to add some extra utility to them. I guess that's kind of always, the same as grape and wine. Um, right now, obviously, the utility is you'll get free airdrops.
Yeah.
And like that's pretty decent. Some of the other examples that he gave were reasonable ideas, but like maybe a little bit difficult to implement, or a little bit, like the uh, NFT that lets you claim every epoch instead of every two epochs, would be a little bit difficult because we'd probably need to add in a new, like we would have to add in a new boardroom for that. Obviously, we can change the amount of epochs that you can claim right now, but that's technically for everybody staked. And I guess some of the other things uh, were, because we are announced as well. It's a little bit difficult to change anything to do with the treasury, anything to do with emissions. We're kind of like almost stuck on that part with the current structure that we have right now. We can add new things on top of it, but in terms of adjusting how emissions are right now in terms of the treasury expansion, we can adjust the expansion rates, but not too much on terms of how much, where the tokens go. The boardroom, if we need to do that to make changes there, we need to add in a new boardroom, which we can do, but it's kind of all about finding a good utility for them. What I would think I would like to do is a um like a lending and borrowing of them. It's a little bit difficult because they're not fungible. That's the whole idea. Then they're non-fungible tokens. They're, in other words, it means that they're not like a actual token with lending and borrowing, in that each NFT is actually its own token. So you can't like pull them together and borrow them against that. You would need, it's more peer-to-peer. In other words, someone has to actually borrow against your
Specific NFT.
particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really the, I mean, it's definitely possible, but it just becomes a peer-to-peer marketplace, which, when you have peer-to-peer marketplaces, they're good, but they're really inefficient, in other words. um yeah, look, I'm open to new ideas for other other utilities for the NFTs. They will have some utility for the game that's coming up, at least as as a bonus for holding. Working on exact details for that.
And to be clear, that's just the NFTs that people already have, right? It's just
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be a bonus utility for the current NFTs.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
there will be a new NFT run for the game specifically, for the in-game items technically. But that's a separate thing. So yeah, I guess like, and if you have any good ideas, you can always track them in the suggestions, and we'll have to think through. I mean, the thing with most ideas, they can be good at first glance, but they need to, as I said, we're kind of limited on how much we can modify things with the current structure. So we have limitations in that aspect of like what we can actually do. So. But yeah, check your ideas, your suggestions, and we can always work through them.
Yeah, we'd almost wish that we weren't renounced, right? That we could do more.
Yeah, technically,
Right.
yeah.
But well, right straight in the beginning of Grape Finance, it was definitely necessary to be renounced because we
Yeah.
weren't known as a team as much yet, and
Yeah.
so it was necessary for the trust building. So
Yeah,
here
yeah.
we are, right? And I've always I've also had someone ask me in the personal chat like yeah, I've invested like 30K, and are there going to be more NFTs because I'd like to have one and they're difficult to get. Like, yeah, sorry, man. That means that the floor is getting a bit higher. But I really like it that people have the feeling that these NFTs truly are as useful as they are, because they're
Yeah,
nice,
it's really
they're
good.
good, and I think if you have them, um, well, don't sell them cheap. Is what I recommend.
Yeah,
Uh, the floor is 1.69 as well, so it's good. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Fizzle is asking, how do you envision Grape working with or competing with other seigniorage stablecoins in the future? Do you see space for multiple in the market? Well, I personally do, but what about
Mhm.
you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the whole point of DeFi is, to not have technically a monopoly. In other words, it's good for the market to have multiple options, because then each protocol would find their own niche essentially, and then they can serve that niche better than technically a monopoly could serve all of them combined. But yeah, we work with pretty much all the seniorage protocols anyway. We're good friends with all of them. It's always good to keep on good terms with them. It's kind of like we're with the whole seniorage market, you could say, is really small anyway. Like it's a niche of a niche. So it's good to I guess stick together and work together and kind of grow the space as a whole. So yeah, I think there's definitely room for multiple in the market, as we've already seen, and it's healthy for the space to have that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely such a tiny a part of the entire crypto space even, and then crypto is
Yeah.
not even that big already. I
Yeah.
mean, crypto is getting more known, but it's still quite small, and most of the people
Mm.
are on centralized exchanges, and then
Oh
the
yeah.
DeFi part is quite small from that, and then
Mm.
within that there's senior. So yeah, it's really tiny, and I think every single protocol that exists right now that is not a rug has such huge potential for growth, because
Mhm.
I mean, people keep asking, "Am I early?" Yeah, you are still early. Uh, even in the things that are a year old, you're still early.
A year old, yeah.
Everything is going to be big. So yeah, we'd better just work together and each find our own thing, right?
Yeah,
I, I
exactly.
I completely agree. All right. Fizzles, no, Parag DeFi wonders what a body part is that any of us wouldn't mind losing. Well, I might have these moles on my back that with that.
Get rid of.
Like one or two. I think I might ask the doctor to do that, but otherwise, no, I don't want to lose any of them.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm perfectly fine.
Some people wondering whether the middle toe is to be lost. Well, I've worked in recovery, like as in physical recovery,
Mm,
and losing any toe really sets you back. You need to learn how
mm.
to walk again. Like it
Yeah,
takes
wow.
months, weeks or
Lose the
months.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't do that, especially not a middle one. Anyway, marketing question. Can we look at getting a ticker or poster board declaring how long grape has been above pack? And like percentage per day, percentage days versus epochs or something of the sort. It sounds nice.
Yeah, it would be cool. The someone made a the peg chart that we have on the stats page, but it doesn't go all the way back. The I guess if you're gonna do it, you'd have to query the. You could probably do it with
Tax screener,
yeah,
right?
the chart, yeah, because technically we're $1 roughly, so you could go and do that. I mean, I guess it's the only issue is you need to keep track of all that data in a database, which is fine. It's just that it's um it's not as simple as just querying it, because if you query it, then you have to query it every single time you load it, which would just be like really inefficient. Um, yes, I would actually like that as well. Like we have the stats one that has the peg at the moment over the last. He started it from early April, and that will continue on. Like that's stored in a database. But getting the data before that, we'd need to query that as well. So yeah, we can work on that.
Oh, nice. Then we move on to Saint. Is it possible to create a way to leverage and borrow against NFTs and or wrap NFTs into fungible tokens? Well, the first one has been answered. I think it's possible but hard. And the second one is and or wrap NFTs into fungible tokens. That sounds weird to me, but
Yeah,
what do you
it's
think?
I mean, in theory, but I mean, I guess it would work a little bit better for our ones because we have tiers. You could probably be like, all right, well, all the ones in this tier are this token, all the ones in this tier are that token, or you have them as different values. Like you if you mint, if you wrap this NFT, you get this amount of tokens or whatever. But I mean, technically you could do it. There's some, like, I guess, technical challenges there, but that would also get rid of the inefficiencies of peer-to-peer issue of NFTs. But the problem with lending and borrowing against NFTs is that if you need to liquidate, like it's because they're not, you can't just sell them at the market like a token. Like there's no liquidity to just sell. So if it kind of almost has to be peer to peer in that, because if it's in a pool and you're lending and borrowing against a pool, which is usually in a token, then if someone gets liquidated, you just sell the token in the market, which protects the lenders in that aspect. But if you are doing it with NFTs, then you can't just liquidate the NFT. You would either need to have it owned by a DAO or something, like a centralized way to do it, like an OTC or something like that, where they can back it and then liquidate it for you, give you money for that. Or it's peer to peer, where it's that individual has to do it, because the issue with the NFTs is that it's not a token that you can't just like sell on the market. That's really the issue with the lending and borrowing. Yeah, this makes it a little bit inefficient.
All right. So it's theoretically possible, but hard. That's kind of it, right?
There's some challenges, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some drawbacks. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't have it exactly like lending and borrowing with tokens.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's why you're suggesting to do like to wrap it. But then you're just wrapping the NFT, the base NFT anyway. Like you would need to have liquidity for those tokens, those wrap tokens, or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
All right. Then we move on also to Dave the 16th. I wonder about it. Is that a 15 brothers or no, the people went before him. Anyway,
Uh,
is the borrowing and lending going to be in conjunction with the Swapsicle partnership? And if so, what percentage of the fees from the trade or swap is divided for Swapsicle and for Grape Finance? Maybe this is also a point, LB, where you might introduce what's going on with Swapsicle a little bit, because I
mhm.
don't think everyone has followed that.
Yeah. Well, the lending and borrowing is something that we're developing ourselves, so that will come later this quarter. The Swapsicle is I get there are new decks launching on AVAX first. They'll go multi-chain as well soon. And and it will be one of the first, I guess, partner protocols on there that will earn their, their token as well. Like part of the like, Joe has their like some of the pairs on Joe earn their Joe token. And on Pangolin, some of the pairs there earn their token as well. And so, on Swapsicle will be one of the only pairs that will earn their token as well to like incentivize LPs there. And they've done something pretty cool where usually when you do that, you have to stake it on their platform to earn their token. And obviously that doesn't make complete sense in our you know
Situation.
structure, yeah,
Yeah.
situation, because we have the farms, which incentivize the LPs ourselves. So we don't need to rely on Joe or whatever. But here they've done it where they can, we will, people can go over there and add to an LP, the Great Mim LP, and then they can come to our site, and I'll make a node for the LPs for the Great Mim LP on Swapsicle. So the Swapsicle Great Mim LP, where you can use add in your LP tokens like all the other nodes, and you'll still earn the Pops token as well in that meantime. So you'll earn the obviously from the node you'll earn the node rewards, and you'll still earn the Pops token. So it's like a dual reward mechanism there. So it's like almost boosting your APY or APR. So it's pretty cool. And also we saw like this last week where Joe literally just turned off routing for MIM and
Yeah.
DAI, which is just kind of insane. So now it's an absolute pain if you want to swap, in or out of grape or wine. You have to go through MIM first and then out. So if you have AVAX, you used to be able to swap back and forth grape and wine pretty easily because they did the routing, like every
Yeah.
DEX should be doing. That's
Yeah.
kind of the whole point of them. But now they have turned that off for MIM and DAI, and now if you want to swap in or out, you have to go from AVAX to MIM, and then MIM to grape, and then vice versa. So it's another step, and we've got a lot of people's saying like, oh, why is the price impact like this? Well, it's because Joe turned off the routing, so it's great. But anyway, that's why this obviously I've been talking to Swapsicle for a little while now, before that even happened, really. So it was just kind of going to be like, okay, let's have some liquidity on this other exchange as well that will also give us give LPs another token to reward them as well, so they can have a dual reward, which I thought was pretty cool. But now that Joe like literally turned off our routing, it's like even more of a reason to be like, all right, well, it'd be great to have liquidity on another exchange that we can, I'm actually in touch with them regularly, and they're not going to, turn off the routing for us, without any notice at all. So
it's kind of like Joe is kind of pushing us off their platform. Like, go away, Grape. We don't want you.
Basically,
they kind of did that with Mim and Dai, and
yeah.
I find it hard to speculate as to why. Do you have any idea why they did that?
Well, they're saying in their I contacted them, and they're saying, well, it's because the liquidity of Mim and Dai is getting less and less, and they want to move to focusing on USDC, USDT, and UST instead, which is fine, but like there's not really a need to turn off that routing.
No,
for those
no.
pairs.
That's just
you
weird.
can favor routing for USDC and USDT, like you can favor that route. But if there's no route through those, to our pair, so to say, or even Asgard is paired to Dai, and they had the same issue, obviously. And it's like if there's no pair, then you may like, why don't you just route, just prioritize the route that makes the most sense. And then if you can't route through USDC or whatever, then route through the MIM and Dai. Like, I don't understand the problem.
That's the thing. It's hard to understand, like, why. But okay.
It's just, I don't know, annoying. Or whatever.
Yeah, let's just move on. When this is a funny question. I think it's funny. Like, when can we expect Bearing Lending? End of month? Like, when? End of month? Okay. So
right now,
what?
yeah, still working on it. It's obviously, I'd like it to be at the end of this month. Depending on how far we go off from the code base that we're using, I may get an audit beforehand, or at least do a small run, like a almost a whitelist beta test on it. But yeah, I'd like it ended this month, but I'm not going to rush it and have issues, basically.
Yeah. All right, that's clear. Just quality over speed, I would say. All right. Then there's a lot of questions about when wine 1000 and chickens and donkeys and whatever.
Donkeys.
Also, we have a nice chart that shows when wine 1K. People, please keep this chat a little bit clean. Anyway, yeah, Sam, thank you. Keep this channel for AMA questions only. Anyway, Taz, based on the recent AMA with Swapsicle, my understanding is that currently liquidity can remain on Trader Joe, but we will just start by minting our LPs into Swapsicle, if that's correct. Yes, it is. When could we potentially move over our liquidity?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess whenever they launch, they haven't set a concrete date yet. They're expecting next week. And so when they launch, we'll be one of the first pairs on there, obviously with the standard pairs as well. But as soon as they launch, obviously we'll let you know. And as soon as they have a date that's concrete, we'll let you know. They'll let us know. We'll let you know, and then that's when you can create LPs over there. But at the same time, we'll keep the Trader Joe LP because that is the main LP at the moment. That is still going to be used for the the pricing, the TWAP pricing. The Oracle is going to be attached to that for the foreseeable future, until basically the idea is that I don't want to force people to move liquidity, because that's obviously a pain. Some people don't really, they just want to sit and collect rewards. It's fine. You don't have to move if you don't want to. I'm just going to, keep the Great Mim Joe LP in the vineyard for now. No, not planning on removing it or anything like that. And that will also be the main pair for the treasury price for now. And I'll create a node for the Swapsicle one. So the Swapsicle one will have a node which will have a higher APR than the Great Mim Joe one. So it's kind of like, hey, it's up to you what you want to do. Really, you can continue to add to the Joe if you want, or you can and stick that in the farm, or you can add to the Swapsicle and get Pops token, and also add to the nodes. So it's basically I don't want to force people to do anything. I'm just giving you options, and if in the future the Joe one kind of goes down quite a bit, and the Swapsicle one goes up quite a bit, then I'll add a Swapsicle to the main farms as well, because I don't want to dilute the other farms. And then we'll change over the Oracle at that point as well. Yeah. Whatever has more liquidity, we'll use that for the Oracle. But basically, it's another pair, because we've had other pairs as well on Sushi Swap and Pangolin, but because there's no incentive to add liquidity there, nobody really did it, which is fair enough. And I mean, we have the Grape BNB on Binance or BSC, and Dibs has incentivized that a bit. So that's actually got some decent liquidity. I mean, it's reasonable for being on a completely different chain. But yeah, so basically it's just another pair on another DEX. You can capture ARB between the two DEXs, and also the other pair, the Grape Wine pair, and also the Grape BNB pair on Binance. So it's creating ARB opportunities. And also I mean that's it basically. It's everything will just kind of remain the same, but now you have an option to add to Swapsicle LP and create a node and earn Pops token as well. I can't hear you. Are you muted?
I was muted. I was muted. I'm sorry. Essentially, is what you're saying is you want to incentivize a move towards a Swapsicle, but you don't want to force it. So whenever multiple people go that way and move towards Swapsicle, then at some point the heavy part is on Swapsicle and the lighter part is on Trader Joe, and then you'll change the Oracle and have it move gradually instead of forced and immediate.
Yeah. It's always a bit of a mess if you force people to do something. You'd really only force people to do something if it's like absolutely necessary to do. Like it's a security vulnerability and we need to do it. Like that's when you would do it. But otherwise, like if it's a user, if it's like to, if it's for UX reasons, then it's like, well, it's up to the user then.
Yeah. All right, good. Samurai Jacques is asking, any plans to seriously deepen the liquidity for Wine Mim? Maybe bond Grape for a boost incentive or something. I know bonded LPs should help with this, even if Wine takes a price hit, the deeper liquidity will make it bearable, potentially worth it in the long run. I don't really get why he says like deepen the liquidity for Wine Mim and then suggest bond Grape, but maybe you can make sense of it.
I do actually. I'm thinking about doing a bonding mechanism to earn Grape. I don't know if that's what you mean. But in saying that as well, a month ago, Wine Min was 400k liquidity, and now it's 800k. And the price has gone up a little bit in that time. We'll say say like 200, 250. Now it's 300 roughly. But in saying that, with the nodes, the Wine node, I have the DAO, the DAO's cut from that, the treasury cut has been pretty much exclusively used to add to the LP directly. So the DAO has 15% of that total liquidity now is just owned by the DAO. So the DAO has increased the liquidity by 120, 130K just by itself, just from the nodes. So, I mean, it's in other words, it's kind of doing uh, what you'd
It's
like it
supposed
to
to do.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is increase liquidity of wine meme. Obviously, the Grape meme, the community has gone behind that one very heavily. I guess it's also kind of the Grape meme is a little bit less, I guess, risky, you could say, because it is grape being technically, it should have technically less impermanent loss than the wine meme, obviously. The wine meme daily return is a little bit higher, but with the wine nodes, that was kind of like the goal of the nodes really was to lock up the supply of those two tokens, and then also use that treasury allocation from that to invest in other protocols, but also to build its own protocol liquidity, protocol own liquidity, so that it can add to the liquidity of the pairs itself. And I haven't been doing that too much on the grape pair because that has grown very steadily, very well by itself, but the wine meme has been lacking. So I have been zapping into the wine meme pair essentially pretty regularly, and we've added, as I said, 120, 130K worth of liquidity just from the DAO through the nodes, which at the moment is about 15% of that total liquidity. And we'll continue to do that, and we may add another bonding mechanism, but technically that is like almost a bonding mechanism in itself that achieves the same goal, really.
Yeah, clearly. So what you're saying is that like the nodes already are the bonding mechanism, and you might add something, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I guess the goal of bonding is to get the protocol own liquidity. I mean, that's really the goal, and the nodes do achieve that. They have already achieved that. The DAO owns 15% of the wine mem just from the nodes, just from the wine node.
All right. Then we move on to DGen Crypto, and is saying the Grape node has dropped to a 1.49%. And according to the docs, the APR is to fluctuate between 1.5 and 3%. How does the APR change on a daily basis? And could the APR go lower?
Well, the obviously, we'll say first of all that it's in the docs it's an estimated 1.5 to 3%, and then the returns are obviously based on the pool balance and are not guaranteed, because you can't really guarantee returns in general in any sort of thing. But so they're based on new node creation and the pool balance of the total nodes. So if the obviously when the nodes were created, there was a rapid increase in the amount of nodes being created, obviously, and then that kept the APR very high. And then slowly, there's been, I guess, less and less nodes. But last week we had an increase in the amount of nodes on the week before, so that kept it a little bit high as well. But I can adjust this as well, and I will actually adjust this probably today to like give it a little bit of a boost, give both of them a little bit of a boost over 1.5. So something that I can manage as well. We want to keep it above the single stake, obviously, because that's kind of, that's another thing you can do with your grape
It's
is
a
put in the
competitor.
single stake. Yeah, and a competitor.
Yeah.
Well, I like giving people options. It may be, I like giving people options. You can stick it in here. It's obviously with the grape single stake. you technically, I mean, you don't lose your, there's no upfront cost, but the return is lower. And then in the nodes, there is an upfront cost, but the return is higher. So, it's, and technically they do the same thing in that they lock up the supply. The nodes obviously do that better for the protocol, but they give at least some sort of use for the grape itself. So I will boost those those nodes today.
Right, clear. Parakdefi wants to know, uh, do you have any plans on doing anything with Grape that involves curve finance?
Yeah, I really like Curve, obviously. Um, not any plans directly right now. Obviously, when we do it, we'd need to still incentivize liquidity providers there. Like we could do it where the um, I guess the DAO adds liquidity there. But I don't think we have enough to make it worthwhile. You'd want at least probably at least 100K of liquidity to make it actually tradable on Curve or anywhere really. And to kind of do that, you want to have that liquidity incentivized. So I mean, we could do that. We'd have to add it to the farms or maybe a node. I'm going to see how Swapsicle goes with the nodes. If that works really well, then it's probably a good option to do that with Curve as well. So yeah.
Awesome. I also like the curve idea. I have to read into it more because it's kind of complex, but I really like it.
Yeah, Curve's pretty cool.
So now there's this question to me, like what is your suggestion on passing microbiology so I can get into nursing school? Well, my suggestion is on passing microbiology. Well, I would say get a hold of learning what everything does. I mean, every single part of the body has a certain function, and think of it as that way. Like, there's one thing that needs to do something. Like, what does it do? And then move on from there. It's like an engine, but different. And
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah,
I wouldn't know what to say, but because it's kind of vague. But anyway, good luck with nursing school and getting into that.
yeah, yeah. A lot of work.
Um, Definitely. I've been doing it for 10 years and it's beautiful work. It's just
Yeah.
at some point I personally wanted to move on, but I've also seen a lot of
Mm.
people who actually enter into being a nurse when they are like 40 or 50. They
Mm.
just
Yeah, yeah,
wanted to change their lives and started helping people. And that's beautiful, you know, you
yeah.
get to save people's lives and you get to make people's
Mm.
lives better. It's actually nice. Um, so then the next one is also from Tahoe. Like, I want to say thank you for all your hard work. And so my question is, what is the optimal play to help maintain the health of the protocol? And I'm actually answering that at this second because what we did, the thing is, we moved too fast for us to actually give an instruction. Yeah, that is the issue
Yeah.
because I had created, I'd finished filming for creating an instructional video on how to move, how to
Mm.
put your
Yeah, yeah,
liquidity
yeah.
in all the different parts. Like I thought, like okay, 50% grape mim, 20% wine mim, 20% winery and 10% grape wine. That's actually really nice for the protocol. But then as soon as the filming was done, there was already there were the nodes. And now the node then Dave and me were thinking, all right, we should add the nodes and add that to the whole thing. And now before we've even done that, there's already Swapsicle, and there's Trader Joe who's saying, yeah, we're not going to route MIM anymore. So essentially, what's best for the protocol is kind of hard right now. Maybe what's best for the protocol is get into the Swapsicle nodes, I would say, because that's moving the liquidity. And
Yeah.
we have to keep on our toes, and it's moving kind of fast. But so I wrote this little thing like, one, get into the Swapsicle thing as soon as it's there. Two, buy nodes, because that gives us protocol owned liquidity. And aside from that, stick to 50% grape MIM, 20% wine MIM, 20% winery, and 10% grape wine. I think
Yeah,
that
that's
would
good. Yeah.
answer it mostly. Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of the issue with the Tomb Fork side is, there's so many different strategies depending on price, depending on what your goals are, depending on, the APRs of all the pools and all that sort of stuff. So it can be a little bit for people to take in at first glance, really, compared to like, just a node protocol where, or even just like Titano, for instance, the rebasing tokens. It's literally the simplest thing on earth. You just you buy the token and you get more of the token every
And
day.
you
That's
wait.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, the seniorage protocols definitely need some reading into. Otherwise,
Yeah.
but
But
that's
the
also the fun
returns
part
can
of
be
it.
very good. Yeah, I mean that's also true. Yeah, it is more fun. You have more control over your investment, and it's the returns I think are actually probably one of the best you can get out of all the ones. The compared to other nodes, compared to rebasing tokens. As soon as you buy into a rebasing token or the nodes, like you're already down. When you buy a node, you're already down.
Yeah.
You have to recoup that ROI. Uh, and same with the rebasing token, you're already down because of the tax. So, with Toonfork side, you go into an LP or the winery or whatnot, you still have your initial investment already. So I think that's like a pretty big plus.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I got into seniorage. I really like it. Okay, so now we move to the AMA live chat, which has not been very active. Zero X Carol is saying happy birthday. Well, thank you so much. I turned 38 yesterday, and I'm very happy in this part of my life. So thank you.
You look much
Um,
younger than that.
oh, thank you. Well, that's because I'm happy, I think.
That's good. Yeah.
Um, Sam has no questions, loves us, and I think I think he's asking this for Tao, like send feed pics. I don't think Sam wants them himself, but anyway, Nomicon says it's like an engine but different on the body. Yeah, so we've reached the end of this AMA because I don't see any specific questions going on right now. Nobody's asking for the mic. Um, so good. Let's wrap it up. Is there anything you'd like to say to finish it up, LB?
Well, I guess yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for all the support. It's been doing really well over this last month. We've grown heaps, and it's
Yeah.
just great to see that you know it's it's all coming together. There's still a lot of work to do, obviously, but it's really good. I enjoy it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I also want to just, yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We really have this very, very, very good community
Yeah,
where people just keep on, well, being nice to each other, explaining things to each other, keep on suggesting things, keep on being in contact with us, and actually trying to support the protocol, actually meaning this. I've seen someone write down like, yeah. in a lot of places where people were angry at me for selling or whatever, or they said don't sell. They were gonna dump on my head themselves. But this seems to be the genuine here. People actually want to see Grape succeed, and yeah, I agree. I see a lot of people being actually actually wanting to see Grape succeed and bringing all kinds of nice things. Like for example, the recap for this AMA will be an AMA recaps being created by Felix, who's just started, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago. Um, so we keep on innovating, not just within the team, but also within the community. And I think that's absolutely awesome. And I want to thank every single one of you for that.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's a lot of things to do, a lot of things coming up.
Yeah. So, with all that said, thank you for this AMA, and we'll see you, I would say, next week. Bye bye.
Thanks everyone.